okay? We're just gonna think about it more. Alright.
Forget about
I'm gonna take out Medusa poop snakes, because that's basically Medusa poop snakes. So this next thing, an ability that reflects damage back, like, so, you know, she activates something, and that, you know, so while she's taking damage, then some of that damage is going to go back to the enemy. So it's kind of like Hide of the Nemean Lion for everybody, that she can activate every certain amount of time. Like, as a, okay, nay sounds boring. I can respect that. Alright, we're gonna get rid of it then. Somebody suggested she could turn the enemy's god's view into black and white, like a hazy thing, like if you were turning them to stone kind of thing, for a few seconds. What do you guys think about that? Nay? We got some nays going on? Alright, we'll take that out.
Alright. I'm gonna erase her face. Get out of your face.
Get out of here, face. Alright. So another thing. Somebody suggested you can make her passive or whatever. It doesn't have to be passive or anything specified. This can be anything. When she dies, she explodes or something like that and turns into lots of snakes that try to group up. The more snakes that grouped up, the more HP she gets and revive herself in that spot. I mean, we can also take out some of this, but is this something we would like to edit more and keep the idea, the general idea of it, even if we kind of
wow,
modify it a little bit? I'm sorry, they're like banging.
That's crazy. I'm so sorry for that.
That's okay. It probably picks up louder, so I apologize to you guys. So what do you guys want? Yay or nay for thinking about this more and keeping it for round 2? Nay? Well, you can take... Okay, let's take out the revive. So... Or in the HP thing. Let's...
The revive is just dumb.
Yeah,
okay?
and the fact
Nobody
any
should have
heal...
a revive, ever.
Like, the snakes do damage. Do you guys want to keep this as an idea or no?
I love the idea of a post-mortem passive. That's just my personal...
Do you want the idea of a post-mortem passive, basically? Whether it's snakes or maybe one of her 2 children that came out of her head when she died. Alright, we're gonna keep it. We'll keep it. You can't say... Oh, yeah, it says yay, maybe some damage. Okay. Alright, we're saying yay. Cool. Oh, and like, this kind of goes with it. A passive that includes Pegasus or one of her sons. I'm just going to keep that with this thing. And then, alright, so somebody suggested an ability. It says, all enemies that are in front of Medusa become stunned for 1 second, or for X seconds, for each god stunned, maximum of 5, whatever, maximum number of seconds, and then they take double damage, and it's basically a lot of stuff. I feel like, I don't know, but what do you guys think of this? All enemies in front get stunned, and I guess they also can take more damage. I don't know if I agree with all of this extra stuff. It's pretty, in my opinion, it's not that creative. In my opinion, it's the same thing that we're seeing over and over again. But you guys gotta, don't think about it in nerfing or buffing. Think of it in the concept itself. Not about balance or anything like that. Like, do you think it's interesting?
Change your perspective, fellas.
Like, do you guys think that this general idea is interesting?
It's not about whether it's balanced or not. It's whether it's cool.
Nay?
Cool.
Alright, we're gonna get rid of it. Somebody suggested a passive. Medusa's basic attacks infect the enemy hit with small snakes for 5 seconds for a certain amount of seconds every certain amount of time. These enemy snakes will slow attack speed and movement speed of the infected enemy by a certain percentage. And then you can this is an ability, and the passive is that, and then then you can activate this ability, and if you activate it, and if an enemy is infected with snakes, this ability can be activated to stun the enemy for 1 second. or for a certain amount of seconds, and then with a certain cooldown or whatever. Ignore the numbers. Just think about her basic. Once she gets this ability, her basic attacks will poison an enemy. If the enemy is poisoned, like a blight, then and she activates said ability, then she will, you know, stun them. All right, we're saying yay, cool idea, awesome. We'll go through it again, and we'll separate them out more. Don't you worry, guys.
It's okay, guys.
Hopefully, we'll have time to. If not, we can always still like I'll probably still post this and stuff, and then you know it can be something that can be discussed over time.
It's not finalized yet.
Yeah, and it might not ever be finalized. It's more to get you guys thinking and thinking creatively and getting involved and that sort of thing with the community. So this one. Her ulti would be something like Sobek. She sends multiple stakes underground, and they come out and bite the enemy. Yay or nay? Do we think that's interesting, or do we want to get rid of it and think of other things? Nay? Nay, too boring? Alright, cool. Somebody suggested a passive aura or an active skill. Gaze of Medusa. Passive. This is something I thought was really cool. I think this is the one. It's a passive that can be balanced to. So we're not talking numbers now. This is just whether or not it's interesting. This is one that I know you guys are all gonna get confused about, but just try to open your mind and relax about it. It'll all be okay. And her passive or an active skill. I think her passive would be cool though, where she's like emitting this pulse of waves in front of her that when she's looking at somebody and they're looking at her, they will put stacks on that person, and if they have a certain amount of stacks, they will freeze and be turned to stone. You guys like that? Yay or nay? Do you guys think that that's like an interesting idea that she could keep? And then potentially she could have something in her kit that makes somebody look at her or something like that. Yay? Alright.
Build up stacks. Like, I like the idea of, like...
I kind of think that this should be her passive.
Yeah, I think that's her passive. I think that should probably work best as her passive. Like, the longer people stare at people, the more potential they have to be stunned. Mm-hmm. And so she should have abilities that key into her passive. The idea that, look at me!
Yeah.
Look at me, Wendell!
And it might be hard to balance, but that's not what we're kind of dealing with right now. What we want to do is think about what's going to be interesting to play and to play against and that sort of thing. And I don't think that I think that it can be balanced to where it won't be a problem like, well, then you have to not look at her, or nobody's ever going to be looking at her, and so it's like, you know, stupid. I think that it could be balanced enough where there's tons of movement and fights and stuff, it could work. Alright, so this one. This was a grab that she uses to combo with another ability, which we kind of mentioned above, I think. So, like, do we want her to have an ability that grabs an enemy, whether it pulls it toward her, she pulls herself to them, whether it just kind of, like, whatever it is, do we want to have a grab of some sort? Nay. I'm seeing a lot. I think I'm seeing more nays than yays on this one. Oh, now there's people saying yay. Huh. Do we want to do another poll on this one?
You want a poll?
Alright, we're gonna do a poll. We'll do another poll. That's this. And grab ability. Yay. Nay. Create poll. Cool. Alright. Go and vote.
Go forth and vote.
Oh man, did I?
And be plentiful.
There you go. Yay or nay? Do we want to have a grab or not? Or to consider having a grab?
I kind of prefer the idea of a taunt, as much as taunts annoy me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're just
taunt.
keeping it for now, and then we'll go through again. I mean, we obviously have more than 4 options right now for abilities and stuff.
Yeah.
Whoa, why are we in slow mode? Oh, off. Stop that. Alright, yay or nay? It looks... Okay, we'll hold on to it. We can come back to it later. We can always later decide we don't want to grab. We'll keep that on the list for now. And the next thing was, like we... above... It was a taunt, so that would work with that passive that we were talking about earlier. Do we want to consider a passive, or a taunt, that she has a taunt that makes somebody, like, that makes them look at her? Or we could have it as a grab. I don't know. I think that a taunt might be more interesting because there's only 1 taunt in the game. But what do you guys think?
It's a really strong taunt.
Mm-hmm.
And with her passive, she can make it combo into a stun.
But, I mean...
But that would be awesome.
It could be a smaller taunt than Athena's, of course, but do we like the idea of her having a taunt, even though she's not a tank? That's another thing that could be interesting, like, or that people might not like, well, maybe tanks are the only ones who have taunts, but it could also be interesting to let that branch out a little bit. So do we want to keep the idea of having a taunt, or do we want to take it off and not think about it again? It looks like yays. Alright, cool. Alright, next one. When activated, she throws a snake at her target and does some damage as a basic attack, but the hit target will show up on the map for a certain amount of seconds. So something that could basically play off of, or that could really synchronize well with, say, Neith's ult, and having a Neith on your team. So do you guys want something like that? So it's like a thing that will make them visible on the map for a certain amount of time? Even if they're out of range? Like, it puts like a light on them so you see them.
Right. It's sort of like a spy, you know. Or like a scouting ability.
Mm-hmm. It's a scout ability, basically.
Yeah.
So do we want to think about that? A scouting ability? It also helps, like, having her, like, this melee assassin support kind of character. I think that's really helpful, so she's not necessarily going to be, like, specifically strong in and of herself. Well, she could be, I mean, you know, but she can be used to set up things as well, and still be very helpful to a team. So it looks like yay. We're gonna say yay.
A support assassin, so sort of like a scout assassin. Like, maybe more of her abilities are less about kills and more about scouting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and gaining vision of the map and, you know, monitoring where the enemy team is.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting if she had a lot of abilities, or several abilities, or a couple abilities, or just a ability even that really synergizes for that goal, for that team goal.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Maybe her passive is that she gets wards for free.
I mean, I don't know if that she necessarily should have wards specifically, because, like, that, I think that's kind of, to me, that's boring. There's, like, you know, Arachne can lay her eggs and they act as wards or whatever, and Neith's weaves used to be wards, but, you know, Artemis's traps act as wards. Like, I mean, it's kind of cool for 1 or 2 people, but I think for Medusa, personally, I feel like it doesn't really fit her. It doesn't suit her.
I like it. Right now I'm leaning more towards the Medusa as an assassin. I'm picturing myself jumping out of the jungle as her, and what would I do if I was going to be ganking as her as a jungler?
Like, maybe an assassin who, I mean, like we were saying, like, slight support, though, like with support aspects. So she comes out and isn't, like, when she ganks someone, it's not necessarily for her to get the kill, but she can come out and gank someone and allow for whatever her teammate who's in lane to do all of the damage that needs to be done to kill that enemy.
Right.
So this was the next ability on the list that we had put on, or that we had written down. Passive or ability Medusa has or places a snake in the jungle that cannot be seen. It sees enemies, and when the snake sees the enemy, it attacks it, and it will show up on the map. So similar to the other stuff, what do you guys think about having, basically she can put put wards down. Well, maybe, or they could maybe not act as wards themselves when they're placed, but they make it so that when somebody's attacked, kind of like if
honestly, that just makes for an Arachne clone.
That's
really.
true. It
like
does.
Like clearing.
Except for it would make like this idea of saying that the snake can't be seen by the enemies.
Right, and then it only attacks gods, not minions.
Yeah. All right, so let's get this out. Do we want to have an ability where she can infect minions and then detonate them in some sort of way? Like, this was similar to what we had above, like with some sort of minion manipulation. Yeah, got a couple yays for it, a nay. Like, do we think that's, like, minion manipulation is something that is interesting to us?
What if she acted as like a counter jungler? The idea is like Arachne can set traps in the jungle and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So an idea of minion manipulation is that she could seed an enemy minion camp, like a minion camp on the other side, with snakes, and she literally puts them inside the minions, and it's completely invisible to the other enemy.
Yeah.
And it acts as a ward in that minion camp. It's very, very, very short range.
Yeah.
So the idea is that she makes a minion her ward and a trap, so that when the enemy god kills that minion, only when he kills, not when he attacks, when he kills it, then the minion explodes into snakes, which cause damage over time, similar to...
Oh yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Or it does like a burst.
Like if maybe she doesn't get the... Sorry, go.
Yeah, if she's waiting nearby, then she can use that to kill the enemy jungler.
Yeah, that'd be cool, so that she can also, like, she doesn't necessarily use them to get the buff from the enemy player. Like, the enemy player can still get it, and so maybe for
the trap to work, they have to do it. They have to kill it.
Yeah. Okay, that'd be kind of cool. Let's write that down. Counter jungle that allows Medusa to infuse an enemy, or infuse
any minions, I guess. So I guess it would have to be like
and non-player characters. Why not?
Just say minions. Just able to infect minions.
Enable to infect minions, specifically jungle camps. I'm gonna say excluding. Well, no, let's not exclude Fire Giant and Gold Fury for now. Maybe later.
That would be so funny.
I think it might be interesting to see, like, her infecting Fire Giant or Gold Fury or whatever. Like, I know people will probably later on be like, that's overpowered, but I think it'd be interesting, and that's what I mean.
And that would be hilarious and interesting. I think that is interesting.
So I'm not going to exclude them because I don't care what you think. No, I'm just kidding. I do care what all of you guys think, but I do think that it would be really interesting to see it. And, like... I don't necessarily think that you need to have a Medusa on your team if she were in the game, for example. Like, I don't think that would make it so people are like, oh my god, I need to have Medusa on my team because otherwise, I won't be able to put traps at Gold Fury and Fire Giant. I think it'd be cool. To burst and attack after, I'm going to say after X seconds of, or X times of, or percentage of health, maybe, I don't know, of the enemy player attacking that buff camp. What do you think, Steve?
Sorry?
I'm just going to say...
I'm lost in my art.
For the infecting minions thing, the counter jungle thing. So it burst and do
I say it should do straight burst and maybe a small slow after they kill the enemy minion.
So only after they kill it. So they have to. You can't steal the buff.
Right. They have to kill it.
Okay.
Themselves, and then the snakes will explode and bite them and do straight burst damage. It's not damage over time. It's just burst damage. And basically on its own, it's annoying. But if Medusa herself or an enemy team or a teammate is waiting nearby.
So I think it should be also when
It's basically an ambush mechanic.
You should also be able to put it on individual minions in that buff camp. So like you could have it. So on each one, and then they'll all burst. Not at the same time. They'll burst when each of those individual things are attacked. Because I think that could be more interesting. So she could put one on just one of those minions. Like, you know how Arachne jumps on somebody could have a UI similar to that to show what you're going to put that trap on, basically.
Yeah, maybe there's channeling time. Maybe it takes time for her to infect an enemy minion.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll just put it down at the basic idea of it.
Another thing here is that it could help her clear buff camps.
Yeah.
In the sense that maybe if she infects an enemy minion, that she will then deal bonus damage to it with her auto attacks. So if she doesn't want to use it as a trap, she can also use it as a camp clearing tool. So
she can...
Because if she's going to act as a jungler or a counter jungler, she's going to have her own way to clear camps.
Damage to said minion when she is attacking it. Or with basic attacks, not auto attacks. I think that would be interesting, and that would get her to jungle more as well. Alright. The last one that we had written down was she can convert red minions to blue minions or zombify them, like minion conversion. Do we like that?
Zombify them.
Zombify minions.
What if she could turn minions into her own stone golems?
That'd be kind of...
Attack my pretties.
Yeah. Do we want to have her be able to turn minions, basically?
We already know from experience and past actives and stuff that turn minions is like one of the most OP things ever of all time. But yeah, that's just me going off on my little OP rant. And I'm not allowed to do that because we're not talking about OP and stuff. We're talking about what's
cool. Alright. Alright, we're gonna get rid of it then.
Lead by example, Steve.
So, do you guys want, are you guys happy with what we have right now? Do you guys have more ideas that you really, really want to add to this list and to discuss? Or do you guys want to just keep narrowing this list down until we have 4 abilities and a passive?
Also, any suggestions for the visuals might be nice.
Yeah, also, if you have suggestions for the visuals, Steve is reading chat and stuff as well. Guitarist goes, what about something where she coils up like a snake and does something like an arching dash where she flings herself into the air towards a location, has a charge up time?
You realize it's like 2 o'clock now, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Do you want to keep going or no?
Let's give it 20 more minutes.
Okay, cool. Let's just narrow these down. Rather than getting more abilities or something, let's narrow these down. Uh-oh, my chat's breaking.
Uh-oh.
Apparently.
I hate
So,
when that happens.
1 minute. Let me try to...
You can just refresh it.
Yeah, I don't want to refresh it, though, because...
Then you lose what people said.
Yeah. Well, actually, I have chat from on my other thing, so there's that at least. I could just look at that. Alright, so... well, let's just do this. So... Let's take out the ones that say passives and put them at the top. We'll talk about those first. Let's say X. Boop, boop. Oops. And then... Alright. That was a passive idea. This was a passive idea. What else? This was the passive idea I really liked, and I think that a lot of you guys also really liked, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Oops. There we go. Oh god. What am I doing? Oh, this ruined everything. Alright, we'll just put this here.
Anyway, the idea from Medusa is that she is a monster. She is a scary, scary lady, and you know, even though she's supposed to be beautiful and gorgeous, what I like is that moment when you see like certain gods like Arachne and Fenrir in the game are by themselves not scary. When it comes to team fights and stuff, but it's at that early game time when you're in the jungle and you're just walking around, and all of a sudden Arachne or Fenrir turns around the corner and it just makes you poop your pants. You know what I'm saying? So what we could do is just make a Medusa just a scary character to see. Like once you see her coming, you want to run. You know, give her that fear mentality when it comes to like her abilities and stuff like that. If we can find a way to focus that, I don't know. Just my thoughts. My ramblings.
Alright. I think I got all of the passive ideas to the top, so we'll look at that. So one passive was that when she's hit with a damage ability, or an ability that does damage to her, then she poops a snake, or a group of snakes, and those snakes will sit there for a certain amount of time, and will then, I don't like the idea of the absorbing damage taken, because that, we can think about it. Alright, it says, these snakes can attack passing enemies for 10% of the damage taken by Medusa. So while she's taking damage, if there's enemies that are in range of the snake's attack that have been pooped out, it'll do damage to them for that amount, and then if she travels over the snakes, she regains health based on the health lost from the damaging ability.
I just gotta say,
it's kind of complicated. I don't think I like it either. Do you guys like this one? What do you guys think? Nay, we're okay. I got one nay.
Nay.
Nay. All right, Steve said. Ash, we're just gonna go based off of what we have already kind of brainstormed and then taken stuff out of, just because of time, because we were only originally gonna go until 5, but we're gonna go for another like 20 minutes or so. So, but maybe for next time and stuff, we'll think more about that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, time difference. I totally forgot. I was all like, it's 2 o'clock, right? Like, what?
But I knew what you meant. Don't worry. Alright, so, we got rid of that. This is we'll do the passive idea that is before, that isn't the one that we loved first. So another passive idea is that basically when she dies, she, like, spawns something, whether it be snakes or one of her children that she spawned when her head was chopped off, or whatever, and then those things do something. Do you guys like that, or do you prefer? There's a passive where basically, her passive is that she's emanating in a certain cone in front of her. You guys are saying nay? Alright, we'll get rid of that then. So, you guys, are we agreed upon this passive, where when she is, she passively emits this aura that will put stacks on enemy gods that are looking at her in a cone in front of her. So she has to be looking at them, they have to be looking at her, or towards her in, like, their cone of vision. And then, and that can be worked out. So this we all like. Everybody's saying yay before I can even say. And so they get stacks.
I just like that one. That one's just cool. You have to look at her, she has to look at you, and it puts ticks on you that eventually slows you. And if you've got max stacks when she uses her Death Gaze ability, then you're stunned.
Or at a certain amount of stacks, whether she has to use an ability to, detonate that passive or whatever. Doesn't matter. Point is, she gets stacks, or the enemy player gets stacks on them. And it could be a ton of stacks, like, that they need.
Yeah,
it could be a ridiculous amount. This can be easily balanced.
The idea is to make it scary, to make it intimidating, to make you, add, like, anxiety.
Yes, it's to make you want to turn away, you don't want to look at her, but you also still want to attack her, of course, because you want to get her down, but you're not going to be, like, you don't want to be in her line of vision. You have to either be behind her or whatever. And since it's stacking,
juke her face.
it can be pretty interesting.
Don't look at me. I think that's just one of the coolest ideas ever. Personally, that's just cool.
Mainfold, it wasn't necessarily that we didn't see it, but we were done discussing new things due to time constraints. Yeah, and it could be, I mean, if it's, you know, if it really is overpowered, which I think that because of how much movement that goes on in fights and that sort of thing, I don't think that it's necessarily going to be overpowered, depending on, like, you just need to make sure that you have a decent amount of stacks that would get onto that player before they can be stunned, or that before they are turned to stone, and they would be turned to stone for not necessarily a long period of time or anything. They would just be turned to stone for whatever amount of time. And then that once they're turned to stone, then the stacks fall off. And then it only lasts for a certain, like, maybe it lasts for 2 seconds, or a second, or half a second, whatever it is. So slow them down, I guess, too. So they're turned to stone for a little bit, and then they're not stone anymore. And then the stacks would reset as they're not looking at her. Like, stacks would fall off as they're not in that, they're looking at her and she's looking at them positioning.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I know it's on like, when you first hear it, you're like, oh my god, that would always be overpowered no matter what. But if you think about it and you really think about it, it can be easily balanced. Well, easily is a relative term. It can be balanced. Right. Let's just say it can be balanced to make it so it's not too powerful due to the amount of movement that goes on and the amount of stacks that you would need and how stacks would fall off and that sort of thing. Alright. So, let's now look at what we have written down as ideas for abilities. What were let's look at the ability ideas that we had for her. One was that it was like a snake lash that poisons the enemy in some sort of way.
I know that one thing that like League of Legends and other MOBAs have is they've got a lot of abilities that are just straight up passive.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And so I think like a Thorny, like one where like her snakes bite people that are in the vicinity, that get close to her. I think that would be a good passive ability that she could have. It's just like it's maybe a cone in front of her, or maybe just like people that are in a certain distance from her have a chance to be bitten by snakes, and so as you level up the ability, the chance gets higher, the damage gets higher, the poison effects get higher. That sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I just don't think it's as interesting as her passive being where, you know, there's the stacks with the stone and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely...
I think that's going to be the most interesting gameplay-wise, because it just promotes more movement and more, like... It just promotes more interesting play.
I was just thinking about making that like her 3, you know? Maybe her 3 is an ability where for a short period of time her snakes her snakes bite everything in a radius.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's look at what the ability ideas that we had. So one of them was a snake lash that poisons. We had the idea of, like, she has a poison that makes her abilities have other effects. I'm just going through all these first before we, like, yay nay them, so we can get an idea of, like, what direction we were going to go with this character before we start getting rid of things that would make sense to, and would synchronize well with other abilities that we really like. Ash Inspire says, like I said, I think a simple passive, like, oh, we lost Steve again. Like a simple passive where, she goes, like I said, a simple passive, like, if she is maintaining eye contact, your protections are debuffed, simple, basic, makes her ganks less strong unless she's looking at you. Ash Inspired, my problem with that is that it's boring. It is simple, and it is basic, and the whole idea with us doing this was more for us to think of creative and interesting ideas and stuff. You have to share screens again. It was to have, like, more creative... Oh, we lost him again. It was to have more creative thought process into going about God creation and that sort of thing, and to have the community involved in that, and thinking about things that were interesting and that would change gameplay, and not the same thing that we see over and over and over again. Because while yes, at the base, like, a lot of the mechanics are, of course, going to be the same things that we use over and over and over again, but it doesn't have to be. That's what I'm saying. Keep losing you, Steve.
Sorry about that. It's back now.
Alright, don't forget
to stay back for a bit.
To share screens.
Oh, right. Derp derp. Sorry, guys.
Alright, so another thing was she could turn minions to stun, or have like a turn minion-y kind of thing. One of the ideas was that she could turn minions to stone, and that like then she could use another ability or the same ability to like use those stone minions against them, or they could be used as a wall or whatever, that sort of thing. Alright, sorry, I spaced out for a second. So, here's what we, then another one was somebody was like, she needs to have a stun, but to not make it OP would be cool to have, she grabs onto her target and forces them to look into her eyes, because it's the eyes that, turn people to stun. So the grab is similar to Arachne, but we can adjust that. It doesn't have to be similar to Arachne, and that's how she turns them to him. And that, we had something farther down. I should actually just combine those all. Another thing was, we'll take out the grab that she uses to combo with another ability, because that's basically what that is. And we'll put this with this. Another suggestion was having her have a taunt that makes them look at her. So that works with her passive and allows for more, oh my goodness, stuff like that. Or more use of her passive, and making that also a part of her mechanics and her playstyle. Like, yes, I understand, like, the passive is supposed to be this. Well, it doesn't really matter what it's supposed to be, as long as it makes playing the character more interesting. Like, we shouldn't be necessarily always thinking of, this is what it has to be and this is why. We need to be thinking outside of the box, and that's what's going to kind of, I think, will help make the community and the game grow by all kind of talking about these ideas and that sort of thing. Are you back? Are you good?
I think so. Yeah.
Alright.
I think my internet's just about kaput, so we should probably be calling it good here soon.
Alright, cool. So we're almost good with that. So do you guys like the idea of having, like, a taunt or a grab to work with her passive? I don't know if chat's all completely kaput or what. I've seen some people talk, but not as many.
How many do we have watching right now?
I'm around 100. A little less.
Oh, really? Wow. That's
it goes
impressive.
up and down. It's
I did
good.
not expect us to have that many viewers. What? Hello, people. Here this entire time I've been talking to almost 100 people. I've been assuming like 30.
Alright.
So is how much I know.
Let's move away from the grab and taunt thing. We'll talk about that more later. Ability idea, what was this one?
Whoops. Herpaderp.
Alright, so this was an ability that passively Medusa's basic attacks infect the enemy that's hit with small snakes, and for every whatever seconds, let's just make these not actually seconds. Let's put this as X seconds, every Y seconds. These snakes will slow attack speed and movement speed of the infected enemy by Z%. And then you could activate it, and it says if an enemy is infected with snakes, this ability can be activated to stun the enemy for 1 second. Oh yeah, I was reading through all of these. Or did I already? I forget. Oh well. Okay, I'll just read through the rest of these again, just so we can kind of look at them all together. And then
Your ideas are important to us. Please.
This one was, when activated, she throws a snake at her target that does some damage as a basic attack, but the hit target will show on the map for 10 seconds. So, like, it does a little bit of, it's basically, she, like, throws a snake, or take the idea that she throws a snake at somebody, it does damage to them, and then it lights them up like a beacon. So, she's kind of like a support, scouty assassin. So what do you guys think? Oh, and oh yeah, the other one. I need to read them all. I keep forgetting that I'm doing that. So, and then the last one, it says infects minions that she can detonate, counter jungle. Basically, it's like a counter jungle ability that allows Medusa to infect minions, jungle camp specifically. Or I guess we could also have it affect minions. That can be something that can be sorted out in the long run. Like, it doesn't have to be sorted out by us, because we're not necessarily looking for the balance. We're looking for the ideas and the concepts, and the high concept stuff. So she infects them and is able to counter jungle in that way, so that she infects like one minion thing at a time, and then when that minion is killed by an enemy, then it will do damage to the enemy. It'll burst and like do damage to them. It won't do damage to the minion though, of course, so you won't be able to like steal buffs using it. What it'll be is like, I mean, unless of course you do the end damage, and then if you are attacking the buff camp, it will having that poison on that infected minion will make it so that you get increased damage on your basic attacks.
I don't know if it would aggro the minions. Just
let's say it doesn't aggro the minions until you're actually attacking them. It's like a stealthy kind of thing.
Like a debuff.
Yeah.
I think it's just a debuff. I think that it's overall just a debuff that only affects minions. That would balance her kit out.
It doesn't. It's not something that explodes and kills minions. It's something that explodes and does damage to the enemies in a radius.
Yeah, but only when they kill
the enemy players, not enemy like minions as well. Like, it won't do damage to other minions. It'll only when it bursts. It only does damage to enemy players.
Right. Exactamundo.
Is this something that you guys want to like really hold on to and keep? I personally really like it. I think that it's a really interesting mechanic and an interesting idea. Similar to, I guess it's kind of similar to Heart Bomb in the sense that it's like an attack on an enemy, and it then can explode and do damage to people around it. I guess it's similar in that sense, but
but it's only when the enemy god kills it.
I think it's still different enough though to not be like too boring. Like, I don't think it's too similar where it makes it so that it's just another Cupid ability. Alright, we're gonna keep that one. This one, we'll move this to the top. It's not necessarily, it doesn't mean like that's, oh god. It just means that this is, it's not, I'm not putting your skills in order or anything. I'm just putting the things at the top, making those things what we're looking at to actually use. And we'll just, let's separate. Woo! Alright. Alright. So, what else do you guys want to keep? We have an ability that where she does like a small amount of, like she throws a snake, does a small amount of damage on that player, and it basically lights them up so that, like, with a poison or whatever, and that makes it so that your teammates can, and you can see them for a certain amount of time as they're running away. So it's really good when you're trying to chase somebody down or figure out where they are to aim your teammates' ultimates and that sort of thing. We can number these. Why don't we number these so we can talk about what we like and what we don't like. Let's number them.
Personally, I'm okay with how the visuals are looking on Medusa right now. What do you think, Kat?
Let me see. She looks freaking awesome. Like, she has feet though, right? That's important.
Yeah, you can see her foot right there.
It's okay. It's clear. Okay, cool. Because
Yeah,
I was worried for a minute that like you weren't gonna be able to see that she had feet, and then she would just look like she was still snake, rather than looking snake-like.
The idea is that it's silk, it's cloth, it's fabric. I'll figure out a way to communicate that.
Yeah, awesome.
Anyway, it's 20 after 5 on your time, so
okay.
I think we're gonna have to like close up at some point here.
Okay. Can we try and narrow down these 8 into just 4 abilities?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's try and do that, and then we'll end. So, like I said, we have 8 abilities now. What ones do we like the least? Like, which ones do we think are the least interesting and that will work the least well with her kit and synchronize the least well? There's a Snake Lash that poisons, which honestly, that's kind of similar enough to the one that the Snake Lash that lights up the enemy. So we're gonna delete that. Because we can always, if we like the Snake Lash kind of idea, we can, that's what it could be. Maybe she doesn't throw a snake, maybe she just lashes out and that lights them up. Like maybe the snake's teeth get embedded into the god and that's what makes them light up. Then there's another thing, turn minions to stone. Do we want to keep that or not? We could just take it out because, give me your bot, we're working on the pooping snakes. Yeah, I think that the minions to stone, while it could be interesting, you could maybe, strategically turn minions to stone to make a wall, or, you could maybe strategically, or if we had an ability in there to use them, so we'll get rid of that one. Oh yeah, do we want a poison that makes your abilities have other effects? Kind of similar to what we have fleshed out farther below. Somebody said remove the first ones. Alright, well, let's get rid of that, because that was... So, do you guys like the scream? Like, it would be like a fear? Do you like the fear? The fear could be placed with this taunt/grab thing.
Huh. That's interesting. What if she had a fear and a taunt? Something that pushed someone away and someone drew someone to her.
That would be something, that's for sure.
What if when they're poisoned, they're taunted, but when they're not, they're feared?
When they're poisoned, they're taunted, but when they're not, they're feared. That could be interesting, but it could also be really complex. What does chat think? Like, Gorgon Scream could be called whatever her grab is, or her, like, do we want her to have a taunt to make use of her passive, or a grab, or which one do we want to do to, you think lore-wise the Scream doesn't make sense? You think? For me personally, like, what I know of the Gorgons and stuff, I feel like the Scream would be fitting of them. Like, they would scream and that sort of thing.
Is it iconic? Is it just something that...
No, it's not something that's actually said to have been done. It just seems like something they would do. Probably based on other pop culture things that I know of or have been exposed to in my life.
Oh yeah, it might be another pop culture thing.
I think do you guys think a taunt or a grab would be better for her? Because in the lore-wise as well, she was beautiful. And that's why, like, she got the attention of Poseidon. That's why he did some stuff. And that's why Athena got mad. We like a taunt. Let's make a poll!
Let's make a poll!
Alright, taunt or grab? Taunt, grab. Create poll. Okie dokie. You guys can vote here. Oh, results. My bad. There we go. See, the thing is, though, even if it's, like, I understand Ashenspire says, as an assassin, I don't want to taunt someone to hit me, though. And I understand that. But she can still be moving away. Like, it can be, like, they don't have to necessarily move faster toward her or anything like that. It's more to have them looking to her. So it's more of a taunt to turn them at them.
It's like, fear. You can't attack when you're feared, right?
Mm-hmm. Or move.
So what if, yeah. Well, no, you can't actively move, no. And neither can you when you're taunted. The idea being that if she let's combine fear and taunt and make a new kind of CC.
Mm-hmm.
Where they don't attack when you taunt them. They come after you and they follow you.
Mm-hmm.
You attract them to you, which is great for assassins because you want them into melee range.
Yeah, and if you grab them, that's also pulling them towards you and making them attack you. But grab is winning right now, kind of surprisingly.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys keep voting for a taunt or a grab.
Salmon. It's obviously salmon.
I guess it would kind of be like a charm in a way, sort of.
Oh, what's charm? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I don't know exactly. I think depending on the game, it will have different effects.
Huh.
And I forget what somebody mentioned Ari in League of Legends, and because she has a charm, but I cannot remember for the life of me what her charm actually did.
Who plays League of Legends? No wonder you can't remember.
Grab seems boring and unfitting for her lore. I kind of agree. Even though grab is winning...
I don't like the idea of the grab.
Do we want to just say screw 58% and we'll do taunt instead?
Vetoed!
Do we want to veto it?
I'm gonna veto it. I like the idea of a charm. Charm is cool.
Tracky, you're making everybody focus the assassin even more so than a taunt. It would be like an individual taunt kind of thing. Not necessarily. We could. I mean, I guess it could be in a cone, but you could also just make it like have a thing where similar to how Arachne's UI is, where it points to just one person. Whether it doesn't.
Whoa, what the flippity flip? What? Oh,
you
I'm
okay?
wrong.
You
Never
got
mind.
it.
Sorry, I was panicking there for a second. I was like, what have I done? All right, hold on.
Oh yeah, Rev Premier says a charm makes the enemy affected walk towards you, but they cannot attack or use basic attacks or abilities. I like that idea. I mean, I don't know if they would necessarily refer to it as a charm or what, but we can say that we can specify that that's what the ability is that it's similar to a taunt or a charm, and it makes the enemy walk towards you, and they cannot use basic attacks or abilities. I'll copy paste that.
Huh. That's interesting. Sorry, Photoshop just did like a herpaderp on me.
It's all good.
It was my fault, though. I should have noticed, but actually kind of looked kind of cool for what it did. I'll have to keep that trick in mind in the future. Sometimes you just discover things on accident.
It's true. A lot of times. Alright. So, are we saying we're taking away the grab? Because the grab, honestly, I mean, the same logic where you're like, well, you don't want people attacking the assassin. Well, then you don't pull them towards you if you don't want them to attack you. The point is it's something to work with her passive ability as well. That's what this ability we're looking at is for. And I think the charm could work. Medusa is meant to be like a supporty assassin, what we've kind of had her become.
She looks scary.
But yeah, she doesn't really have any nukes or anything. We don't have any like specific, like she's more of a supporty assassin than anything else.
Yeah, I think that's the conclusion we're reaching, is that she just straight up doesn't have a whole lot of damaging abilities. She has more interesting support abilities, like the ability to set traps in minion camps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And to just basically put the fear of God into people, you know. The idea that she is a terrifying and scary character. Let's see, what would be a good accent color?
What was this? Oh, this was an idea that somebody had still. This was a more complicated one. It was an idea of that her basic attack infects enemies hit with with small snakes for a certain amount of seconds, and then every certain amount of seconds, these snakes will slow the attack speed and movement speed of the infected enemy. And then if you activate it, the enemy infected with snakes would be stunned for a certain amount of time. For K seconds. And then we'll just take out that cooldown thing because that's not important right now. Oh, I forgot. I'm still at the... I'm sorry, I forgot to get out of the poll. My bad. A grab taunt that grabs them, confusing them so they walk toward her all wrapped up. That could be interesting, like combining them. Like her snakes wrap around them and are pulling them towards them, but they have control. I don't know. The only issue is that it... how much it makes sense, I guess, too. Like, they're not going to be walking towards somebody if they are being... if they're wrapped. I guess. But do you guys like the idea over... Okay, so... let's, right now, pick between... we're going to get rid of that, because we're... working on combining these two, I think. And then, so 1, 2, 3. Oh, we don't actually have all of the abilities. Do you guys like this idea where she can stun enemies by activating if with this passive ability? We actually don't have a specific ultimate for her.
Not yet, no.
This could be her ultimate, where her basic attack infects the enemy hit with small snakes for a certain amount of seconds every whatever, and that's her ultimate passively does that, and then you activate your ultimate, and that stuns that turns them completely to stone. That'd be kind of interesting. We actually never really discussed what could be her specifically her ultimate. But, yeah. Do you guys like the where she throws a snake or attacks the enemy with a snake for a certain amount of range, and it basically lights the enemy up? Are we going to keep that? What do you think, Steve?
I mean, it's interesting, but I think that would add too many wards given her the trap ability for the minions thing. If we kept that, I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, those were gonna be able to be warded, I guess, as well, weren't they?
Just a little ward. It wouldn't
like
be very
small,
long.
super small ward would be that. But I don't know. The thing with that is it wouldn't have been lighting up for that long.
Yeah.
So. Well, chat seems to be saying yes to keeping it, because it would be a damaging ability as well.
I like the idea of the damage over time area of effect thing. Did we get rid of that, or did we keep that?
Damage over time area of effect.
So like her snakes bite people in the radius.
I think so. Where it then where the pooping snakes thing?
No, never mind.
Well, no, then what? Oh, are you saying in a ring around her, like a passive thing?
Yeah, like she activates her 3, and it makes her, it reflects damage back to enemies.
That would be cool if she was doing maybe not necessarily reflecting, but she could activate an ability, and so that also will go with the taunting thing. She activates an ability, and enemies within a certain radius around her are being attacked by her snakes.
Right. So the idea is that it's a combo.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea is that she wants people to stay as close as possible, so that so that her snakes begin to attack, and it's a taunt which starts stacking the passive for the stun from her slow, and then she's got the trap which sets up for a nasty combo either in lane or in the jungle, and then finally whatever her ultimate is. But I like those 3 abilities right there. the radius damage over time, the taunt, and the trap ability. The infect minion ability.
Activatable passive ability that when activated it does damage in a radius around her. And and should we do it X seconds, or should it be until she runs out of mana? Like, should it be something that gets drained, like, as it's over time, or do we want it to be like she activates it and for whatever amount of time?
That's not something that we should put down, but I do like the idea that it's a it's an overtime thing. But it could be either way. That's cool though. I like
Leech
that.
mana,
Okay.
So
AOE damage from snakes, or AOE snakes. So it makes her thorny, it makes her deadly. It just basically makes her scary to be around and to attack.
Did I not scroll down enough for that? Active for X time. And those would be things that we wouldn't discuss. It would be more like a balancing discussion for like actual designers and stuff like that, I think.
Maybe her ultimate is that everybody gets max stacks.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we're gonna call it a taunt. We're gonna do the taunt. We're gonna do the infect minions thing. Oh god. We're gonna do the infect minions things, a taunt. And then the active thing as another one.
What if her ultimate is her nuke, her one nuke?
Hold on. Oh, her one nuke? That could be.
One thing I've noticed that she doesn't have is an escape.
That's true. But
she doesn't have
do we want to have her have an escape? I mean, I know, like, because there's a lot of people have an escape, and a lot of people complain that too many people have escapes.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it was suggested that she, you use an ability and she slithers away. Basically the same as Ao Kuang's 2. Where it's slither, and if you activate it, he goes faster for whatever time. How would that work in any mode apart from Conquest? You just make it so... you could also make it so that minions... Like, you can use it on your own creeps, like the minions in lane, and so that when they die... It's a thing, like, when they die, or something like that. It'd be more complex, but if you're really concerned about other modes, like... Maybe she's just not meant for other modes. Maybe she's meant for Conquest. I mean, for example, Athena, you can't use her really in... you can't use her in Joust because her ultimate is useless.
I've lost my fair share of Athenas in Joust. She is sick and gross. The idea is that whenever they create a god for the game, they never create them for arena or whatever. Arena was never made to be balanced, nor was domination, nor any of these other things. The main focus of Smite, as with any MOBA, is the Conquest game mode. And the characters are all going to be created around the Conquest game mode, not the other game modes. They simply are not. They simply are not the priority, and they're not ours either.
We were taking away the one where it lit up an enemy, right? Because we really don't. We only have room for a passive or for an ultimate now. We have 3 abilities. One that infects the jungle creep infecting ability, the taunt / charm or whatever you want to call it, and this active passive ability that when activated it does snake damage in a radius around her, like snakes are biting off and stuff like that.
Right.
And then,
I just need to know what the ultimate is. That's all I want to know.
Well, do we want the ultimate to be... We can think of new ideas for the ultimate, or we could just use that thing where passively her basic attacks infect enemies hit with... infects the enemies that are hit, and then if you activate that, those infective enemies are turned to stone.
Yeah,
And that
would be
could also be kind of
yeah.
used for mobility.
Or as an escape.
Yeah, I mean, just because you activate it, turn them to stone, and then they can't look at, or they can't.
It could be like her 3, since it's just an area of effect thing. It could just increase her movement speed a little bit too. Or her ultimate could just do that. Like her ultimate gives her a little bit more movement speed, and then she unveils, and anybody that has max stacks is turned to stone, which is like a really long stun instead of the standard stun. And
yeah, and these are
petrified.
a separate type of poison, correct? Or are we kind of connecting it with the passive still?
I think we should stick it with this passive just to make sure that it doesn't cause confusion.
Okay.
Um,
Then I worried that the passive is the ultimate too, and that would make it not as interesting.
it's just an idea. I don't know. I mean, like the idea is that when people look at her, they gain stacks, but those stacks could mean almost anything. Like once you hit max stacks, you're stunned for a second, right?
Yeah.
Or once you and then if you're stunned, okay, let's say this, her ultimate is if any enemies in the air region are stunned at the time that she does it, they are turned to stone. So it's like you know how people will stack stuns already in the game. So like I'm gonna stun all of you. So like what if Chang'e used her ult and stunned everybody, and then Medusa used her ult and turned everyone to stone. The interesting idea is that it would is that when they're turned to stone, yes, they're stunned for a long period of time, but their defenses are doubled. So the idea is it makes them immobile, but it makes them also impossible to kill during the time that they're turned to stone.
Wait, so when they're turned to stone, they can't take damage, so it's protecting them as well?
Well, no, it does actually protect the enemies, which is hilarious, but it also, it just makes them immobile for a long period of time. Their protections are doubled, which means that they can still take damage, it's just significantly less, but they're also just straight up immobile. So that gives you time to gain positioning, or prep your other abilities, or take an objective, that sort of thing. But
it's kind of interesting if you give your enemies bonus protections.
The idea is that if whatever enemies that are not stunned at the time that she uses her ult, all they are is slowed.
Okay.
Nothing happens to them besides that. But enemies that are stunned when she uses her ult are turned to stone, which doubles their protections and keeps them stunned.
Interesting. What do you guys think, chat? If you're going to type that out in chat, that'd be really awesome.
Give me a second. I got a phone call coming in. I am after my time. So.
Okay. I'm sorry. Do you want me to turn you off?
No, it's okay. I'll be right back.
All right. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that... I think what he was saying was that... Oh, is it? Ashton, I haven't played it in so long, so I don't know. So if it is the same as Cassiopeia's ultimate, then maybe we shouldn't do that. But then again, like with Medusa, any Medusa related, like their ultimate's probably going to be something to do with them turning to stone. Yeah, her ultimate could be pretty simple. Like, maybe all of her snakes kind of in the radius around her kind of, like, go out and, like, look at people and get all, like, all snaky and, like, looky and with the fangs out and stuff. That's what this is. And so in a radius around her, everybody gets stunned. Hi.
Hello. Okay, so her, let's see here.
Apparently what you were suggesting is just like a character in League of Legends' ultimate. That's also based off of Medusa.
Oh, is that almost
But then again, yeah, Ashen says her ultimate is it's a cone nuke. If they're looking, they're stunned, and if they're not looking, they're slowed. So it's pretty similar. But then again, they're always going to...
It's really not. It's not the same thing.
Oh, you're talking about stacks, right?
Yeah, so first of all, Medusa's only stack. Medusa's personal stun Like, she has a stun herself, but that's only by maxing out stacks on enemies if they just stare at her for too long. And she has to be staring at them too. So it's a very, very, very difficult thing to get to happen, particularly with how mobile all the characters are in Smite. Okay, so Medusa's personal stun is her passive, but her ult only affects people that are already stunned. So the idea is that she has to synergize with other players for her ult to work.
So it doesn't have to be stunned by her. They just have to be stunned in general.
Yes. So basically, picture Ymir stunning 2 people, and then Medusa using her ult on them. That will stun them a whole lot, but it also doubles their protections, which is hilarious.
Interesting.
The idea is that it just immobilizes them for a really long time, but it also makes them really difficult to kill. But Steve, what if no one is stunned? Then they're just slowed, or they get stacks.
Yeah.
Or they get passive stacks. That's it.
Does she have a
so
way
basically
clear?
her ult is very, 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 very conditional and requires her to be around teammates that can set up a stun for her. Otherwise her stun itself, which is her passive, is the only one that she has, and it's very difficult to land. The idea is that she's a very supportive assassin. Also, when they're turned to stone, maybe they take damage. I don't know. She doesn't need a nuke. I think she would get by on the damage that her abilities allow her to get, because she has a lot of ways of keeping people close to her.
Fire Angry Dude says they get stunned. They look like stone for a while, and they can't use their moves for like 3 seconds after they're stunned for her ult. But they can take damage, but it reduces their damage taken by 50%. Is that basically what you were saying? It could just be always you get stunned, so it doesn't have to be so complex where it's like, well, if you have stacks and you're not stunned already, then you get stunned and blah, blah, blah. Like, maybe it's a circular thing, it's simpler, and it stuns them if you're in a certain radius of her and she uses her ultimate. It stuns everybody in that for whatever amount of time. Like, maybe a longer stun, but it also gives them protections.
Right. I don't know. Again, it's been done. It's been done before. So
yeah, that's where
this is just what we could. This is just how far we've been able to get today. So that's pretty good.
We could just not have a passive for her. We could end on having some ideas for a passive, but not actually having a set in stone passive.
Right. I do like.
Or ultimate, I mean, not passive.
I really do like the 1-2-3 combo that we came up with, though.
Yeah, the infecting minions I really like. I really like the taunt / charm kind of idea, and I like the passive that when activated it has like stake damage in a radius around you.
Yeah.
I think, and I'll keep this document. Maybe I'll put it up or put it on Google Docs or something, or turn it into that. But, and then maybe I'll throw it up on the Reddit or something and then let people go from there. And I don't think we'll have another event specifically on Medusa about it, but it can be something that then can be allowed the community to look at it from there.
Right. And I'll continue to work on this picture too. I'll probably release this publicly after a while.
Sounds awesome.
Just because I know it was a big community assisted deal, and I think they'd really like to see
of
the
course.
concept.
And have it more fleshed out too, of course.
Yeah, I'll continue to work on it. Again, I may change it so that she actually walks. But we'll see.
All right, cool.
But so far, I really like her color scheme and everything so far. Considering how quickly I had to bust this out.
Yeah, no, you did awesome, and thank you so much. So, let's do a little outro thing. Do you want to say your goodbyes first?
Okay. Yeah, I really appreciate everybody for coming by and hanging out with us. I know this is a new event. It wasn't heavily advertised, so I do appreciate the number of people that came by and participated and helped us come up with cool ideas. I thank you guys for the support that you've given me in my art and the support that you've given Kat. I'm going to be logging off now. If you want to check out more of my art, it's on facebook.com/Stevesketches if you didn't already know. And just go ahead, shoot me a comment, let me know if you want me to draw something for you. I'm always open for that. Also, just keep coming up with great ideas, guys. You guys are a very creative group of people. I think the Smite community is full of a lot of really creative people, and I want to see that grow. And that's part of why we did this today, was to help people have a way that they can flex their creativity in a controlled environment rather than just throwing it up on the Reddit. I think this is cool to have like a group a creative group project. So thank you guys for coming and trying this experiment with us, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again soon.
So Steve said it all pretty well. Thank you guys all for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Make sure that if you liked it, you should follow us on all of our social medias. Mine are below, and his are over down that way, all the way right below where his stuff is.
I'm streaming on Thursday. I'll see you there.
Yeah, and he's streaming on Thursday, so he should see you there. If you guys liked it, yeah, follow, and if you really liked it, you can always send us messages and telling us what you liked about it or what you would want to see next. I would love to do this more often. I'd love to do it like once a week or every other week or once a month, but I am going to school next week, so I don't know how much time I'll have, and I don't know if I'll be able to, but I would really, really like to do more of these. So if you have any ideas for what God you want to see us or do this with next, let us know, and thank you guys again for all of your support. And I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Great.
See you guys all
later. This is a lot of fun, Kat. I think we definitely got to do this again.
Of course. Bye, chat.
Bye.